I think that job descriptions are completely meaningless. They're irrelevant. All the skills that you'll see on software engineering jobs, honestly, probably 9 times out of 10 are probably not going to line up with 100% of what the stuff you're going to be working on is really going to be. Sure, it might have some of the technologies that you'll work with. It might list out specific languages, frameworks, libraries, cloud resources, things like that. But that's only a small subset of what you'll actually be doing, and it can't even list out all the proprietary stuff that you might be using too that was built at whatever company you work for. And I think that job listings and job descriptions are truly meaningless. They just are, they serve no purpose beyond getting the first interview. Because once you actually start talking to the team, I think you'll notice how quickly you'll begin to realize the job description does not actually reflect the bulk of the work that you're going to be doing. And a lot of that work is learned, I think, just by on the job, just kind of experience. And that's the kind of stuff that you really can't even list on a job description. How are you going to list on a job description your ability to sift through logs to try to identify the problem? How are you going to list on a job description your ability to communicate with somebody who thinks they understand the problem, but then you realize that the problem that they thought it was wasn't the actual problem, and that we have to get in contact with another team, and that team actually has a bigger problem that they're working on that's in their backlog, so now we have to wait on them. And a lot of that is just communication. And I think that what happens is that job listings will just put communication as a bullet, but not really give you any indication as to what that means. I was looking the other day, and I saw a junior developer job that had a bullet point on there that that required 6 months of managing experience on a team. It's like, what? That's just so, it's just so apparent that so many of these listings are just copy and pasted from another job. The people posting these things, I don't know if they're just not paying attention or if they're just not trying. But so many of these bullet points are coming from other jobs, and it's like, what? So you have a junior developer position, but you're acquiring 6 months of managerial experience? Like that's the opposite of what this role is. Like, this role is designed to get you to give you experience and to equip you so you'll be able to help junior developers later on. A junior developer doesn't come in and say, okay, where's my team to manage? That's nonsense. And I just think that either the job postings are just getting worse, or people are just getting lazier and lazier writing these things. And I think that we can identify the ones that are just made by AI and just spam, everything like that. I mean, I still get reached out to by people, that look at my, you know, technologies and then send me a job that's in a completely unrelated thing. Like, I get, oh yeah, you have experience in C sharp. Look at this senior Go developer. It's like, I never used Go. Like, I've never used Ruby on Rails. Like, that's not even the same thing. I mean, it just, that's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. And job descriptions, are just so meaningless. They just keep getting longer and longer, and 90% of it is just fluff. And it's like the last 10% that's just like, was this copy and pasted from like a Google search of programming? I mean, that's what some of them look like. And it's super frustrating because so many of these job, boards and sites that you apply through will just check your resume for keywords that match up with the job description. So what the inevitable outcome is going to be as job is that when job descriptions get longer, people's resumes are just going to be cluttered with fluff to accommodate these absurd job postings. Now, every once in a while, you'll come across a posting that's actually good, and it makes sense. It's succinct. It encapsulates enough of the technologies that where it makes sense. There's no corporate fluff, and it just gets to the point, and it just gives a salary range at the bottom, and it's just straightforward. And it's the other ones that are like a page and a half long that say that you need to be an excellent problem solver, able to work in a dynamic environment. We work in an agile, fast-paced, environment where we have to be quick on our feet thinking. We wear multiple hats. It's like there's just so many fluff statements to say that maybe this place isn't the most organized, or that you might have to do additional work on top of your full stack job. And it's super frustrating because we're just seeing more and more of that happen, because I think people are realizing that software is so new and job descriptions just can't include everything that it is. And as we're seeing companies slim down their numbers, we're having people take more and more responsibilities, which is just blurring the lines of these jobs anyway. It's we're not going to a good spot, to be honest. We're really, I think we're really getting away from all the progress where we made in specialization. And if we require full stack developers to be experts in database, cloud, back end, front end, and so many other things that I didn't even mention, there's not going to be any time to specialize in any of those, simply because you cannot. You can't stay up to date with the latest technologies on the back end and be an expert in databases or an expert in cloud computing. It's just not going to happen. Those are two different roles that should be different teams. And I think it's becoming wildly apparent with just when you go look for jobs, you'll see descriptions that include all of that knowledge just kind of in it. And job descriptions again, I don't want to say this too many times, but they're completely meaningless. I mean, they really are. And I think if you have concerns about applying to a programming job because you read the description and you get stuck on maybe one of those bullet points, I honestly, I would just ignore it. Just apply if you feel like you're able to do the core ask of what it is. I'm not saying that you should apply to senior positions if you have like 1 year experience, or vice versa. And I'm not saying to do that, but if you have like 3 or 4 years, or maybe even 2, whatever it is, and you read a senior job listing, don't get hung up on like a lot of like the details of like what it may include, because I think you might be underestimating yourself, or you might be underestimating where your skills are truly at. And I remember when I was looking initially for jobs when I started in software engineering, I would just see all these jobs that required 3-4 years experience, and they were junior developer jobs, and I would just be like, well, I don't have that. But you still apply, right? And I think that the people posting these, people must realize, right, that that's not possible in the manner that they're asking, right? You're never going to have 3 years experience if you can't get a job to begin with. It doesn't work. So I really think we need to just redo these whole job listings. I mean, I think that we're becoming so far removed or so far detached from reality that you talk to these people and it's like the most like non down to earth conversation you've ever had. It's like, are you even like living in the same world that everyone else is? You're using these phrases that I've never heard of, these made up corporate terms that are just meaningless. I mean, can we just talk about like what the job actually is? Like, I don't know how many times I have to like you can phrase. How many different ways can you phrase that you're a problem solver? Like, it's I think it's becoming a real problem, and I really think that we're seeing this creep of the required skills for jobs that do not require all these skills, and it's only hurting people trying to get into the job market right now. And it's very, very obvious that there is a problem. And I just wish that we would talk about it more openly and plainly and on a down-to-earth level. That's the part that frustrates me. If I talk to somebody, in a genuine conversation, and from talking to them, just discussing the job, I don't feel like it's a good fit for me, I'll be honest and say that. I'm not gonna not say that, right? I'm not gonna not disclose that. if I feel like the conversation is genuine and honest. But it's these conversations that take place that are just so they're just so nebulous. Right? They don't even make any sense. Like if you want to have a fun time, sometimes you can look at corporate jargon generators, and it'll just produce paragraphs of these phrases and sentences. It just frustrates me that that's where things are headed. And I see the same thing happening in software engineering with these job descriptions. The fact of the matter is, you want somebody who knows how to program, how to diagnose problems in a system, somebody who can propose solutions to how to make the system better or to reduce tech debt. And all that is just can be discovered in just a regular down to earth conversation. It doesn't need to be like the most abstract thing. I feel like I'm writing poetry in these job postings. It's nuts. I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. So I think we just have to play the game, unfortunately, and just kind of figure out how to navigate the whole space. But I think the important thing is that you are interviewing the company as much as the company is interviewing you. That's a very important thing that that I've seen in books and seen places, but it's very true because you're going to talk to places that you're going to have that feeling like it's not a good fit for you, and that's going to happen, and that's a good thing that happens. And it's a good thing when you know it's not a good fit for you, because that means you're learning what you like and what you don't like in a job. And you're not going to know that first go, right? Because you don't have experience. But as you make your way through this career and work at more and more companies, you'll begin to see, like, okay, you can identify things that you like, things that you definitely don't like. But that all takes time to develop in yourself and just to learn. Now, I don't know, like, if the list is going to be the same for everybody of things that we look for. Probably not. But I think that we can reduce, like, the core things that we all look for to: does it pay a fair, wage? Does it offer benefits that actually make sense? What does the health insurance look like in the U.S.? Does the employer pay for a portion of that, or do I still end up paying $300 every paycheck for health insurance? Because some places it's that bad. And you just have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Vacation time is one. Sick days. One thing to ask about, which is the fact that we have to ask, I think, is a sad commentary for where we're at. But you have to ask if sick days is included in your vacation time, because some places those are bundled together. So if you're sick, it's a vacation day. Some places separate those, and you probably should ask. And that's a conversation for another video. But anyway, so as you're looking at these descriptions, don't get discouraged. And if you read a bullet point where you don't think you align perfectly, if you read a technology, especially if it's more of like a niche technology, don't be discouraged if you haven't used it before you apply. Just have confidence that you can learn it, and just talk about it to say that I haven't used this specifically, but I've used something similar, or I understand the core technology backing that. And I think that those conversations will produce a more fruitful discussion, rather than just saying I haven't used it. And it's hard. It is very difficult right now. And I hopefully we stop using generative AI to create job postings. Hopefully we stop using automatic filters based on keywords for job. It's just ridiculous. It's like a race to the bottom. I mean, we're gonna get resumes that are just gonna be bullet points, because those are gonna get through. And you should see some resumes just have just all bullet points. It's a mess. I mean, but that's what the system's looking for. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that thing. But we got to stay positive. I think that that's the crux of this. Probably we got to stay positive and realize that it can get better, and this is where we're at. So I'll see you in the next one.